Our list of candidates. Okay, members of the media, good morning, and thanks for coming to this press conference this morning. As anticipated, the Prime Minister last evening announced the date for the general election as June 6, 2016. The United Workers' Party welcomes the news of the calling of the next general elections, and we are settled and perfectly poised to win the next election with a comfortable margin. Because of our history, it is understandable that some members might be jittery due to the short 18-day deadline. The Prime Minister has broken all the traditions that have been established in this country. Yes, as he mentioned last night, he talked about the laws. But it has become a tradition in St. Lucia that a minimum of 21 days notice is given for general elections. Even Sir John, back in 1987, when he held 2 elections within a month of each other, gave the 21-day notice. But this time around, the Prime Minister, in his wisdom, has only given 18 days notice. This has caught the Electoral Department off guard and unprepared because they had been given the go-ahead to publish the new list by the end of May. And Nancy will speak to that issue in a while. This time around, all the factors are coming together to ensure that the party is ready at the polls. It is a fact that the SLP has been a national disaster. Every initiative has been at a devastating cost to the people of St. Lucia, whether it be rich, poor, or middle class. The SLP has failed to bring transparency, accountability, growth, jobs, and has failed on almost every other election promise they have made. The SLP is a lesson on how destructive a bad government can be. They are a disaster of a government led by a delusional Prime Minister. St. Lucians have not forgotten the lie disguised as a promise to inject $100 million into the economy immediately. We have not forgotten that 5 years later, absolutely nothing has been done about our astronomical unemployment rate, increased crime, and spike in the cost of living. So the Prime Minister's 15-point pledge last evening is no different. St. Lucians are a resilient people, an unforgetting people, and wool will not be pulled over our eyes by the master of illusions this time around. The United Workers' Party has consistently shown that with proper plans come delivery. Our policies under the torch will light our way slowly but surely back into office to deliver much needed relief to our ailing country. In the fight to rescue St. Lucia from the destructive hands of the SLP, changes have had to be made, and the United Workers' Party is ready to make that change. Our leader, our political leader, Alan Chasney, and our team of candidates have constantly been hitting the ground and shaping structured policies to building a new St. Lucia. The United Workers' Party encourages every St. Lucian to make the right choice, and come June 6, 2016, to place their confidence in this new United Workers' Party. The United Workers' Party therefore invites all St. Lucians to Deriso Playing Field on Sunday, May 22nd, where we'll present our full slate of candidates. Then we invite you to the Boulevard on Sunday, the 29th of May. And then our final national public meeting will be held at Bon Séjour in Groseilliers on Saturday, June 4th, 2016. As time goes by, we will be furnishing you with information on our constituency meetings, our constituency cottage meetings, and expounding more on the policies of the United Workers' Party when we form the new government. At this point, I would like to invite Nancy Charles, our communications manager, to address you.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much for being here today. As part of our preparations for the upcoming general elections, I am very pleased today to name our full slate of 17 candidates for the upcoming general elections. However, they will be introduced formally to St. Lucia on Sunday, the 22nd of May, at our rally in Deriso. Our candidates are as follows. For Groseilliers, we have Mr. Leonard Spider Montoute. For Babono, we have Mr. Ezekiel Joseph. For Castries North, we have the Honorable Stevenson King. For Castries Central, we have Mrs. Sarah Flood Bobra. For Castries East, we have Mrs. Fortuna Belrose. For Castries South, Senator Mary Isaac. For Castries Southeast, Honorable Guy Joseph. For the constituency of Dennery North, we have Mr. Jimmy Henry. For the constituency of Dennery South, Honorable Edmund Estefan. For the constituency of Micoud North, Honorable Dr. Gail Rigobert. For the constituency of Micoud South, Mr. Alan Chasney. For the constituency of Vieux-Fort North, we have Mr. Prince Ambrose. Vieux-Fort South, Dr. Ulrich Mondesi. Labrie, Mr. Francisco Japierre. Soisel, Mr. Bradley Felix. Soufrière, Mr. Harold Stanislaus, and ancillary candidates, Senator Dominic Feely. As I said, we will be introducing to you on Sunday these 17 ladies and gentlemen formally. It would be remiss of us, however, as a party, not to state some of our concerns with the pronouncement by the Prime Minister last evening with reference to the date of elections. And we have a number of concerns, and I will list them as we go. One, our first concern is with reference to the date of elections. We've had a number of complaints, we've had a number of calls, and even on social media, if you're following, you would note that the date, which is the 6th of June, happens to be a day where you have CXC exams. And in St. Lucia, we do have a number of secondary schools where those exams are taking place that are used as polling stations. The question that is being asked by some of the parents and some of the students is what happens to that exam. We've taken a look at the CXC timetable, and on the day of election, there are 2 exams scheduled for that day. And as a matter of fact, I personally also got calls from 2 principals of secondary schools who also called to find out what was going on, what is it that they have to do. They are very concerned. You have food and nutrition in the morning, and in the afternoon there's additional maths for those students who are writing CXC. And so that is a concern for those parents and also for the school. It shows the insensitivity of the Prime Minister. He does not care. He speaks about the youth, but the concern that should be put into the youth is not there. So this is not about St. Lucia, but this is about Kenny Anthony and what he wants. What we anticipate is going to happen, and I did make a call to the Electoral Department this morning with reference to the changing of the venues for those polling stations. And they also are now scrambling to make arrangements for alternative venues. We're not too sure what is going to happen to the voters who have traditionally voted maybe in a particular polling station, and they know this is the school where I used to vote, and we're not too sure by what date the new polling stations will be given, and that people will have sufficient time to know where exactly it is that they're voting. So we see a lot of chaos happening. I don't know if this was deliberate or not, but this is something that is of concern to us as a party, and it is something that is of concern to the voters of St. Lucia as well. Another issue that has also come up is with reference to the voters list. The voters list by law has to be made available by the 31st of March every year. And as a result of there being an unverified list of about 30,000 persons earlier on this year that was published in the newspapers, the traditional list that was supposed to be published by the 31st of March was not, and we anticipated a new verified list later during the year, maybe. As a matter of fact, we anticipated to get that list sometime in April. I had some discussions with the Electoral Department, and I was told that the Electoral Department wrote to the Prime Minister to have the final list validated by the 31st of May. The Prime Minister agreed and gave the order. It was gazetted, and so it was anticipated, as per the Prime Minister's instructions, that the final voters list would be made available on the 31st of May. However, it is mind-boggling to me that the Prime Minister, knowing that the final list will be verified by the 31st of May, has called an election on the 6th of June, which gives you an average of 5 to 6 days to peruse the list, to do your verifications, to make your queries, to state your concerns. And we believe, as a party and as St. Lucians in general, that this is unfair. We will be writing officially to the Electoral Department to register and to state our concern. with this development with reference to the voters list. As of today, we have been told that we cannot get the list. We will be getting the list sometime next week. We've not been given a final day, and so you would well understand that it puts you at a disadvantage because election date has been announced, but as a party you do not have the final voters list so that you can peruse and do your necessary checks and balances. And so we will be writing officially to state that concern. Finally, I would like, as a party, to ask all St. Lucians that this is a critical moment for us. This is a day that we have all been waiting for. We've been Election Day. It's finally here. We're asking St. Lucians in the days leading up to the general election that we need to pray. We need to pray for peaceful elections. We need to pray for non-violence. But most importantly and most critically, we need to pray for our country, St. Lucia. We need to pray that the St. Lucian electorate will make the best decision for St. Lucia in going forward, and that is to elect the United Workers' Party into government. We need to pray that we're going to break those chains and those curses that is on our country, St. Lucia. And as a nation, we need to pray for unity. I thank you.
And I join the call for free and fair and a peaceful election campaign. It's not a long election campaign. And we, as chairman, I'm committing the United Workers' Party to a peaceful campaign, and I'm calling upon the Prime Minister and the Labour Party to do the same. Let us avoid any acts of violence, let us avoid any acts of intimidation, and let us ensure that we have a fair, free, and peaceful general elections this year.
Any questions?
Yeah. I just wanted to know whether the party was somewhat stunned by the 70s. I know you all gave a date of the 27th. I don't know if it was just a shot in the dark, you all were bluffing or were just trying something. But June 27th, June 6th is quite a stretch. Were you stunned when you heard that last night? I know you say that you're poised and ready to win the election, but did that come as a surprise to you, the date itself, June 6th?
I was surprised that the Prime Minister did not give the traditional 21 days notice, which is the tradition, which is the norm, which is what people expect, and that's why so many people have been talking about this, right? And but yes, we were expecting him to call the election, but the point for me is the mess he has left the country in, because there's so many things that are unfinished that the Prime Minister needed to deal with. We have the whole impacts report that has not been dealt with. We're in a situation where the Prime Minister promised the Europeans, the Americans, the British, that we would have a DPP in place by the end of March. We're now nearing the end of May, and those things are still not in place, right? We have the situation of unemployment, which is so high. The Prime Minister has not been able to make a dent in the unemployment situation for the 4.5 years that he's been there. But now that he's promising, we know that it's in the to issue I want to touch on too. This week, the Prime Minister has sent economic 5 years. Had it not millions of dollars
Bill which has been approved, and so the in now is that monies is at a free will to spend